This is Otherworldly. Tonight's guest is Anthony Ragonese, who will be speaking to us on the topic of sacred sexuality, which should lead to some serious and interesting discussions. So, Anthony, I'm going to invite you to take the stage and start talking.
All right. Well, I prepared a little, it's not really a slideshow, but it's like a slideshow.
Do you want the screen shared with you?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Okay, well, you want to share
All right,
screen?
if
Okay.
you do that, that's fine.
Probably need to give permission.
I do need permission.
So how do I do that?
Down the bottom of the screen where it says share screen, that will give you options for letting others share the screen.
All right.
And there's
Well, I'm
Chipicon.
just. Oh, she's back. And we are recording Chipicon, so Anthony has a screen
Can't
to
hear
share
you.
with us.
There we
Thanks
are.
for starting without me. My modem is kicking up tonight. So welcome, Anthony. Has anybody made any kind of an introduction?
I
A little bit.
simply introduced him as tonight's speaker who's going to speak about sacred sexuality. And we won't get into the fact that Jen and I know Anthony, and he's been up to a lot more mischief than that. But if you have anything else to say before we let him go back to whatever he was going to say.
The
then,
full
by the
boilerplate
way,
has not been given for the beginning of the
and,
show.
good evening, Henry. Good evening, Khalil. I don't think we've seen you here before, or maybe we have. But anyway, I am still the host apparently, so with the power to start and stop recording. So I don't know how we want to handle this.
You can give hosting back to Chipicon.
Okay.
Yeah, could you do that?
All right. So how do I do that?
It should be the three dots in the top corner of your image.
Well, let's see. Blah, 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 make host.
There you go.
Well, if not, we can just get on with the show.
All right. You're the
We're still
boss.
close enough to just give a full start right now. So
Yeah, we're only like 3 minutes late, so. And you can just hack the video to get rid of the rest.
Oh, let's hope. So it is recording, so I guess we should just get going. Sorry about the chaos. I don't have the most cooperative computer. So Anthony, let's put this back onto you, and I'm afraid that my first question has got to be, how did you get into this particular specialty?
Well, I mean, it's all subjects that I'm interested in. It's sort of, a merging of sexuality and spirituality, which are both driving forces in my life. So.
Okay, well, yeah, and it is a form of energy most of us have access to. So, not that all of us will access it, but what makes it more appropriate or less appropriate?
What makes it more appropriate or less appropriate? I mean, I think that's really up to the individual.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so I have a presentation prepared.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Yes.
Go for it.
I'm going to share. All right, here we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Ragonese. I am currently writing my first book titled Stroking the Soul. I'm also a contributing writer for the Bader blog, which is devoted to male masturbation and related topics. The presentation that I have for you tonight is about my own system of sacred sexuality called Autoerotic Phallicism. This is a brief overview of a few of the topics that I will explore in my book. I will go into much greater detail in the book, but I believe this presentation is a good crash course for some of these subjects. This material is aimed primarily at men with penises, but many of these practices can be adapted to people of any gender or genitals. I ask you to keep an open mind as I present this material to you. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to speak up or type them in the chat. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching for my real name or my screen name, Stroking the Soul. Stroking the Soul, a concise overview by Anthony Ragonese. And here is the layout. I'm not going to read all the titles, but that's what we have for tonight. Part 1, Go Love Yourself. The ancient Greeks had several words for love. The two that I focus on in this practice are philautia, self-love, and eros, romantic and sexual love. Autoerotic literally means eros of the self. It is a combination of philautia and eros. Self-love can mean many different things: self-care, self-respect, self-kindness, self-compassion, acknowledging your self-worth, and self-pleasure. When we practice self-love in the form of masturbation, we are reclaiming our power and taking our pleasure into our own hands. Therefore, erotic self-love is also self-sovereignty. Aristotle said that self-love is a sign of virtue, and that a man who loves himself will do good for the benefit of others. When we love ourselves, we can better love other people. The love we cultivate within ourselves radiates out into the world. In the words of RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Self-love is a healthy foundation for personal self-improvement and empowerment. So go love yourself as often as you can. And I have a quote here. I dote on myself. There is that lot of me, and all so luscious. Each moment and whatever happens thrills me with joy. From my favorite poet, Walt Whitman, Song of Myself. Part 2, Body Consciousness. We must learn to get back in touch with the body. We humans have a really complicated relationship with our bodies. From the moment we're born, we are told what to do with them, how to dress, how to wear our hair, how to behave, and other cultural norms. Our initial ideas of self-identity are based on other people's opinions. We are also being pulled out of our bodies every day by external distractions and the trappings of society, such as TV, movies, radio, news, social media, and porn. As a result, we become spiritually disembodied. We are not fully conscious within our bodies because we are always focusing on something else. So many people lack a deep, intimate connection with their own bodies. We are also culturally conditioned to separate the body and soul. Many religions teach that the body is merely a vessel for the soul instead of recognizing that they are thoroughly intertwined. The physical body is a manifestation of the soul. It is what the soul is experiencing right now. The body is sacred. We also live in an anti-pleasure culture. Religions and institutions teach us that sexual pleasure is shameful or sinful. It's something that we are supposed to overcome and transcend by putting our faith in God. The prevailing idea is that we must seek God outside of ourselves. But what if we find God through the pleasure of our own bodies? Pleasure itself is transcendental. It is sacred, beautiful, natural, and our birthright. Shame is the antithesis of pleasure. One of the purposes of exploring our sacred sexuality is to overcome shame and embrace our pleasure. Sexuality and spirituality are not opposing forces. They are two sides of the same coin. Orgasm is a spiritual revelation. That's why we scream out, "Oh God," when we come. At the point of orgasm, we are opening a direct channel to the divine. By getting in touch with our bodies, loving ourselves, and exploring our pleasure on a deeper level, we are connecting to the divine forces inherent in us all. Part 3, Cultivating Erotic Energy. One of the essential practices in all forms of sexual rituals and magic is learning how to cultivate erotic energy. Erotic energy is the universal life force which flows through us. It has many names in different traditions: chi, prana, mana, ruach, etc. This energy connects us to all of nature. It is the same energy that causes the flower to bloom and strikes the lightning across the sky. It is the driving force of creation, and it flows through our bodies. Cultivating erotic energy means learning how to build this energy and access its power. In order to do this, we must first understand how to generate the energy and raise it through the energy centers of the body. You may be familiar with the Sanskrit word chakra, which means wheel. Chakras are energy centers that correspond to certain organs or areas of the body. There are various chakra systems in different yoga and tantra traditions, but most Westerners are familiar with the 7 chakra system. Sir John Woodruff was responsible for popularizing this system in the early 20th century. The concept of energy centers in the body is also found in many other cultures and traditions. We'll take a look at a few of them, and then I'll tell you about the system I have developed for my own autoerotic practices. So this is the 7 chakra system, the one that most people are familiar with. It goes from root to crown. And in Kabbalah, they are the Sephirot, the 10 spheres on the tree of life. And here you see the spheres of the tree of life superimposed on the body. And connected by the middle pillar that runs through them. In Taoism and Qigong, they correspond to the Dantian. And you see there are 3 Dantian, upper, middle, and lower. In the Sufi traditions, they are called Lataif and are usually centered around the heart. And there's those. In my spiritual and magical practices, I focus on the 3 most crucial energy centers for erotic work: the cock, heart, and mind. And as you see, there's a little guy that I made there. The cock center is the generator of erotic energy, and the penis is the lever which activates the generator. Stroking the penis keeps the fuel flowing. Think of erotic energy as a fire inside the body. First, we need to ignite the kindling, then stoke the coals and get things moving, and continue to feed the fire so it can grow hot and bright. The cock center is also the source of the seed of creation from which all things take root. We must start from a fertile phallic foundation so our tree of life can grow tall, reaching for the sky. The relationship between the heart and cock is evident. The anatomical heart pumps blood to the erection, and the cock sends energy through the heart. The American poet James Broughton wrote that the penis is the exposed tip of the heart. It is also the bridge at the center of the entire system, and it is crucial for erotic energy to pass through it. The heart center acts as the processor that transforms the energy as it ascends to higher consciousness. We must come from a place of love. It is the most important of all. The mind center is the master computer. It is always communicating with the other erotic centers and the rest of the body. The mind's eye is also responsible for visualization, both outward and inward. It allows us to focus on our intentions and psychologically manifest our reality. Through prolonged and heightened states of pleasure, we can obtain cosmic states of consciousness and unlock our greater potential. The holy trinity of cock, heart, and mind must work together harmoniously to maintain the flow of erotic energy and keep our internal circuitry in balance. Part 4, sex magic and candle gazing. Sex magic is the practice of using sexual stimulation to build up erotic energy and direct it towards a specific purpose. While you stimulate yourself, visualize the desired outcome in your mind. When you reach the point of orgasm, you release those intentions out into the universe. Phallus is your magic wand, the lightning rod between you and the universe. Using erotic stimulation to achieve altered states of consciousness is similar to other forms of raising energy like chanting, drumming, and dance. In chaos magic, this is known as ecstatic gnosis. Another way to shift our perception is to focus on a single point, to subdue the conscious mind and allow the subconscious to rise to the surface. This is a tantric meditation method called Tritaka, a Sanskrit word which means gaze. It is an exercise of dharana, or concentration. This is usually done with a candle, but the focal point can be anything: a single star in the sky, a deity image, a sigil or sacred symbol, or something as simple as a black dot. When using candles for solo sex magic, you focus on the flame while masturbating. Visualize your intention as you gaze into the flame. As it fuels your masturbation, you concentrate your erotic energy into the flame. You can also incorporate color magic by matching your candle color with your intention. One way to use candles for solo sex magic is to pace your masturbation to the burn time of the candle, and finally release your ejaculation when the candle burns out. This means that it's important to use the right type of candle for your spell. I have found that chime candles are the best for this method of solo sex magic. In metaphysical shops, they're often sold specifically as spell candles and come in a wide array of colors. They are usually 4 inches tall and ½ an inch in diameter, with a burn time of about 2 to 3 hours. They are similar to taper candles, but shorter. The name chime candles comes from the Christmas angel chimes from Northern Europe, invented in the early 20th century. Tea light candles are another good option. They're common, cheap, lightweight, and versatile. They usually come in a little cup, so they're self-contained. These small round candles are less than 1 inch tall and 1.5 inches in diameter. They usually have a burn time of about 2 to 3 hours, and some higher-end tea lights may burn up to 5 hours. Votive candles are similar to tea lights, but taller. They are usually about 2 to 3 inches tall and 1.5 inches in diameter. Burn time may be 3 to 5 hours freestanding, or up to 10 hours in a container. Because of the longer burn time, I don't usually recommend them for solo sex magic, but they are another option. Most people don't think of this, but birthday candles make nice little spell candles. When you make a wish and blow out the candles on your cake, that is a type of magic spell. Burn time is 20 to 30 minutes, which is perfect if you just want to rub out a quick one. Larger candles such as tapers, pillars, and 7-day candles may be used for recurring spell work over a period of time. Depending on the size and burn time, this could be over the course of several days, a week, or even a month. This method can be done in conjunction with lunar cycles, which I will talk about momentarily. Figure candles are also common in magic. These include a variety of shapes, such as pyramids, spheres, hearts, skulls, and much more. The best ones of all are shaped like genitals. Penis candles are found in a large variety of different colors and sizes, many between 3 to 6 inches long. And here are some chime candles. And then here are some penis candles.
Nice.
I've never actually purchased a penis candle before, surprisingly, but I have plenty of candles, so.
From what I saw the other day when you were showing me, yes,
Yeah.
in your video, yeah.
Do you have any idea? Oh, there we go. $12. No wonder you haven't used them.
They're usually not that much. I've seen them like $6 or
Yeah.
$7.
The mold and shape, you
Huh.
probably have to do one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have to, you would have to make a mold and then cast the candle, and it would be a slow process.
Yeah.
I won't
they
tell you
did-
where, but I've seen kits for casting a mold of your own penis.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're called Clone-A-Willy.
Uh-huh.
Well, ah!
That's what they're called.
Uh-huh.
Truth in advertising.
That's right. All right, let's see if I can scroll this here. Here we go. All right. Phallus talismans.
Hey.
There is a
The part I
long
find
history.
interesting.
What's that?
I said this is the part I find interesting. It's amazing the ones out there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So show them. Tell 'em.
Yes. There is a long history of phallic objects used as amulets and talismans. The Romans, in particular, took the phallus to a whole new level. They were everywhere: frescoes, architecture, oil lamps, jewelry, etc. The phallus amulet was known as fascinum or fascinus, from which we get the word fascinate. The related Latin verb fascinare means to enchant, bewitch, or captivate someone. The phallic fascinum was worn to protect against malevolent magic. Pliny the Elder, the Roman encyclopedist, called it medicus invidiae, the remedy for the evil eye. Many of these amulets were grotesque phallic creatures with animalic features such as wings, legs, tails, and additional smaller phalluses. Another form of fascinum is the tintinnabulum, a polyphallic wind chime with bells dangling from its appendages. The chimes were hung near entrances, and the sound was believed to drive away the evil eye and welcome good fortune.
Okay. Still use bells on doors as a witchy thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
So
Is that an oil lamp?
that is an oil lamp. That is an oil lamp. Yep, that is an oil lamp.
So you're
And-
going to set the end of that on fire. I'm not really comfortable with.
Well, I mean, I guess it's no different than a candle.
I suppose, but still, ow.
And then here are some of the amulets. There's a single one, and then there's a double one, and then the one on top has two phalluses, and then there's like a fist. That fist is called monofica, which means the sign of the fig. It looks like this. It's supposed to
Okay.
represent a vagina. So you have the phallus
Right.
and you have the vagina.
And those could be
And-
either boobs or nuts then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at that and thinking, okay, which is it?
Yes.
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 All right, that's all right. So much for the correct answer.
Oh my.
So here are some of the wind chimes, the tintinnabulum. They don't have any bells attached to them anymore, obviously, but of course they're thousands of years old or whatever. So
Uh-huh. Well, I've seen Chinese paintings, very old, and they look like the guy on the right,
oh really?
except that they were having a contest to see who could carry the most heaviest bags of coins on it.
Oh, that's classic. Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Now in this case, that thing is not hanging from his penis. He's got it held in his right hand. But
Well,
Yes,
I know
yes.
that, but still, I looked at that and I said, and you see these Chinese guys with these incredible smirks on their faces, parading around with this caber sticking out of their groin, and all these
there's
bags.
also there's also an old SCA joke about a king and contests, and it winds up with the
I know
band. The band
that
played
story.
multicolored children.
Yeah, I know that story.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the band played God Save the Queen.
Well, at the end, it all got mixed up, and the band played multicolored children.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Maybe a local version.
maybe a local version, but I'm still looking. I want to see Sergeant Pepper's do this with multicolored children. But anyway,
Pan Priapus. There we go.
Oh, we're getting to Priapus. Don't worry.
Yeah.
During the Middle Ages, small metal badges became popular all across Europe. Those who went on religious pilgrimages would acquire these brooches as souvenirs from the shrines they visited. The most interesting and unusual were the body badges. Many of these were flying phalluses or anthropomorphic genitals depicted in various comical scenes. Some scholars believe that one of the purposes of the body badges was to protect against the bubonic plague. And here are some from my collection, replicas that I've gotten. Some of them I got at Penzic, and some of them I ordered online.
Oh, I found myself wanting to embroider some of these designs
Ha!
in multiple colors.
Multicolored children.
I like this one because it's a phallic creature with a guy standing on it with a wheelbarrow full of phalluses.
Okay.
Yep.
Double duty there, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, now I'm analyzing the stones on this one.
And there's some other ones there. Some others that I have, smaller ones. All right. In Thailand, phallus amulets are known as paladkik. They are derived from the Shiva Linga of India and were introduced to Thailand by Cambodian monks during the Khmer Empire in the 9th century. Men wear these amulets on a string tied around the waist, hanging near their manhood to protect it from physical or magical harm. Many men wear multiple amulets at a time of different sizes and shapes. They are also worn as charms for luck, sex, and fertility. Pranyang is an occult deity in Thailand who is found in the form of amulets and statues. He is seated like a Buddha and wears a pointy hat or crown. Another form is Forper, who is holding his large erect phallus. Here are some of the Thai amulets. And yeah, this one has eyes and the hindquarters of a lion, the legs and the tail. And then here's another one that has leg and a tail, and then a smaller phallus on top. And then here's one that's carved out of wood. And you see that all of these have various inscriptions carved into them in Khmer script. There are different incantations and prayers.
Okay, I look at that and I have to ask you, has there ever been, there has to have been a flute in the shape of a penis?
There probably is. I mean,
not that
I
you've
don't,
seen yet.
not that I've seen yet, but I'm sure there
Well,
is.
you know, and I also saw a cartoon many years ago that was a woman looking at an exhibit in a museum, and it was basically a 6-foot-tall version of that standing upright and labeled woodpecker.
That's great. I love that. And so here is Pranyang in his form as Forper with his erect phallus. And this is one that I have.
And you know, when I look at that, you know what I think of?
What's that?
Sheila and the Gig.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it is.
Is that not, is that the image?
Yeah.
On the female side.
Sheila Gig is a woman with her vulva pulled open. And there
Yeah.
is, well, and Sheila gigs are European. In Thailand, they also have the same thing too. There's a female version of Forper. Her name is May Pair, I think, and she is basically a Thai version of Sheila Nagig.
So there's a balanced set of images for the same concept.
Yep. All right, and now we are on to herbal aphrodisiacs. Aphrodisiacs are herbs and other substances used to attract love, encourage sexual desire, and stimulate libido. They can be used in autoerotic practices for these same purposes. Entheogens are herbs and substances with psychoactive or euphoric properties used for ritualistic purposes. Many of these are also used as aphrodisiacs because they induce an altered state of consciousness that is conducive to erotic work. These herbs can be implemented in a number of ways. Many are familiar with potions such as teas, alcoholic tinctures, and other ingestible concoctions. Many plants can also be used in herbal smoke blends mixed with cannabis or other psychoactive herbs. Please do not eat, drink, smoke, or otherwise consume herbs if you are unsure of their safety. I know people who work with poisonous herbs, and it's a real specialty thing. So I don't work with anything like that. Nothing I work with is toxic or is going to kill me. So, but I know people.
You do have to be careful, because something like foxglove is poisonous in one form, but it's a heart medicine in another.
Well, yeah, it's digitalis in the other form, but you can still blow your heart out using it badly.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. And there are so many like that. I mean, there's belladonna and what else is there? There's a bunch of them. Wolfsbane is another one. There's tons of them. Yeah. So please don't use anything if you don't know if it's safe. Scented products like potpourri, incense, perfume oils, colognes, and herbal baths are popular. Scent is a very powerful aphrodisiac.
Huh.
Topical applications like unguents, I think I said that properly, unguents, or ointments. Unguents, okay. Unguents, or ointments, and massage oils are also common. Herbs for love and sex magic can also be carried in magical sachets with crystals, talismans, and other items. They can also be given as offerings to deities and spirits associated with love and sexuality. Blue lotus is a water lily native to Egypt with beautiful blue-purple flowers and a bright yellow center. It is sacred to the Egyptian god Nefertem, the lord of fragrances. The sweet, intoxicating scent of the blue lotus was a cherished perfume. It is known for its aphrodisiac and euphoric properties and is beneficial for lucid dreams, meditation, spiritual work, relaxation, and sensual pleasures. Damiana is an aromatic shrub native to Mexico. It has been known as an aphrodisiac since the Mayan civilization. It reduces tension and anxiety and lowers inhibitions, allowing one to be comfortable in his own body. It elevates the mood and produces mild euphoric effects, therefore increasing erotic energy. The aroma and flavor are similar to chamomile and slightly minty, citrusy, and bitter. Horny goatweed is native. No, that's okay. Horny goatweed is native to China, where it is called yin yang wo. According to folklore, a Chinese goat herder noticed that his flock became extra randy after eating this particular plant. It is used in traditional Chinese medicine to stimulate sexual arousal, support circulation and erectile function, and increase sexual potency, among other things. It also makes a fine offering to the horny goat god, Pan. Roses are associated with love, romance, and sex more than any other plant in the world. They are known for their distinct floral fragrance with green, fruity, spicy, or musky undertones. Some varieties are cloyingly sweet. The essential oil is one of the most expensive in the world and has been a prized perfume for thousands of years. Rose water is the aqueous byproduct of the extraction process. It can be used in love potions and other concoctions. I love rose water. I use it all the time. Jasmine is another of the most romantic flowers and has long been considered an aphrodisiac. Its fragrance is seductive, intoxicating, and intensely floral, with a peculiar muskiness due to an organic compound called indole. This compound is also produced on our skin, especially in warm, sweaty areas like the crotch.
Really?
When things get hot and heavy, you will smell indole. It is raw carnality in a flower.
Never knew that.
Yeah, so some people have that. That thing that people have with cilantro, where they think it tastes like soap.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so some people have that with jasmine too. Like they can't stand the smell of jasmine because it reminds them of BO.
Huh.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Mugwort. Mugwort is an onerogen an herb which enhances dreams or inspires a dreamlike state of consciousness. This is attributed to a psychoactive compound called thujone, which is also found in mugwort's cousin, wormwood.
Hmm.
It can be used for dream work, divination, meditation, and achieving the altered state of consciousness for solo sex magic.
And do not confuse the two.
No, I've never used wormwood. I mean, I've had absinthe, but I've had like
heard, yeah.
the modern absinthe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the true recipe for absinthe is still lost. So
Probably just as
I
well.
can say probably just as well, given how dangerous wormwood is.
Yeah. But I love mugwort
But
though.
on
I
the other hand-
use mugwort all the time. What's that? Go ahead. Someone say something?
I just said mugwort's great.
Oh yeah, I
Good
love it.
against insomnia, digestive issues, anxiety. It's great stuff.
Oh yeah, I love it. And spices such as cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, and cloves are used in all sorts of love and lust spells because they heat things up. They are sweet, stimulating, and increase pleasurable sensations. Hot peppers have a similar effect. The region of Calabria in southern Italy is famous for its spicy red peppers, which the locals consider a natural aphrodisiac. They are affectionately called Viagra Calabrese, or Calabrian Viagra, or Viagra dei Poveri, poor man's Viagra.
Now, is this generally true of hot peppers in general, or is it specific to certain types?
Well, I mean, it is true of the Calabrian peppers. I don't know of any others.
Well, I don't know. I'm just sitting here speculating on why over the last 2 or 3 months, my enthusiasm for hot peppers has grown to the point where I'm eating them right out of the jar. So, inquiring minds want to know.
I love spicy peppers.
Well, I get jalapeno rings and hot banana pepper rings,
Mhm.
and I just adore them on sandwiches. And now they're starting to become a snack. So, makes me wonder.
Yeah, they're good for you. So here is a blue lotus in
Ooh,
its natural environment. Yeah, it's beautiful. That's another one of my favorite herbs, blue lotus. And here it is in dried form, and I show that because when you buy it, it's going to be
It looks nothing like.
yeah, it's going
Yeah,
to
it's
be
gonna look
be
like
in the dried
that.
form. Yeah, well, when you buy it, it's going to be in the dried form, and you can buy it as a whole flower like that, or you can buy it in cut up pieces. I've purchased it both ways. I think that the whole flower is good if you're going to make like potpourri or something that's more visual, because then you have the prettiness of the whole
Mhm.
flower. But for my purposes, I mean, I ended up just grinding them up anyway, so I just buy the cut up pieces. And then here are some, speaking of the hot peppers, here are the
Il Viagra.
Viagra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor
That's
Viagra. It actually says that.
that's what they call them. Yeah.
Okay.
We ought to try some of those. God knows where you can get them here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, really. You want to do that, huh?
I like.
How can I resist how can I resist a
Okay.
name
What
like
do you
that?
get? What are you gonna get me? I'm an asexual. Remember?
Well, yeah, we're working on that, but that's going to get into the rant I get into at the end of this when they say,
Okay.
anybody have something to say or any questions? And then we'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Part 7. Autoerotic Phallicism. In the 19th century, British author Hargrave Jennings posited that phallus worship was probably the oldest religion. It originated from fertility traditions in antiquity. Our ancestors lived off of the land, and their survival depended on the fertility of the crops and livestock. Many phallic deities were associated with the sun and rain, and worship often took the form of orgiastic rites to prevent drought and protect livestock. Human sexuality was tied to the fertility of the land, and this was often represented, This is often represented by the phallic sky god uniting with the Earth Mother. Ancient phallic monoliths still stand in parts of Europe, Africa, and Asia. Small carved phalluses left as offerings have been discovered on sacred sites and ancient burial grounds. Although phallus worship seems to have become an obsolete concept in most places of the world, there are a few examples of resurrected phallic traditions within the last century, including Japan's famous Kanamara Matsuri, which is quite a spectacle.
Oh, yeah.
So what is the significance of phallus worship in the present day? Modern life looks very different from the way our ancestors lived. Many of us live in urban areas and enjoy the conveniences of grocery stores and modern technology. As a result of the Industrial Revolution, humans have become disconnected from the natural world. In addition to the sacred bodywork and solo sex magic I discussed previously, the objective of autoerotic phallicism is to reinterpret ancient phallic traditions as a solo practice for the modern man. Men who have penises can tap into this ancient power and discover the phallic connection to our ancestors and the world around us. One way we can do this is by recognizing the phallic significance in all of nature. Every ray of sunshine, drop of rain, majestic mountain, and sturdy tree is a phallic symbol waiting to be reclaimed. By exploring the ancient phallic mysteries, we can learn to reconnect with the forces of nature. We can celebrate the phallus through the cycles of nature and the changing seasons. As the sun rises and sets in the sky, so too does the phallus. As the weather changes and temperatures fluctuate, so too does the phallus. All of the Sabbats and seasonal rites have phallic significance. Even modern holidays can be a celebration of the phallus. Just like the earth and sun, the moon also has a phallic connection. Just as the moon pulls the tides, so too does it move the holy fluids within us. By acknowledging the moon's influence, we can harness its power through the seminal force of our orgasms. The modern man has all the powers of creation between his legs. He can worship his own phallus through the philosophy of self-love and the sacrament of masturbation. And here we have a wheel of the year with the 8 Sabbats and the moon phases. And then here we have a phallus wheel.
Okay.
Yeah. And now we're on the final part, part 8, phallic gods. And these are only a few. In my book, I'm going to have a whole bunch more. So Shiva, the Hindu god, represents the transformative cycles of destruction and recreation. His symbol is the lingam, which was originally a phallus. The Gudamalam lingam is one of the oldest surviving linga, dating to around the 3rd century BC. The lingam is often shown united with the yoni, which symbolizes the divine feminine, known as Shakti. In Tantra, the union of Shakti and Shiva represents the merging of primordial energy with consciousness. And then here are some examples. The one on the left is the Gudamalam Linga, which is the oldest surviving one. And then there are a couple other examples here. I think the one in the middle is from Vietnam. And the one on the bottom, I don't know exactly where that's from, but it's very obviously phallic. And then this
And
figure,
a vagina.
and the vagina too. Yeah, it's very distinctive, which is why I chose that one, because some of the linga are very abstract. They don't always look like that. Some of them have different designs. Sometimes it's just like a plain pillar instead of having a distinct phallus. So I chose ones that were distinctly phallic. And this figure of Shiva in the top right, with his erect phallus, I think that is Lakulisha, I think is his name, is one of the avatars of Shiva.
Mm.
Min, the Egyptian god of fertility, sexuality, and the harvest. He was identified with the Greek gods Priapus and Pan. Min's most distinguishing feature is his oversized erection, which he usually holds in his hand. Prickly lettuce, different from the common garden lettuce, was sacred to him. The Egyptians considered it to be an aphrodisiac, and men ate it to ensure sexual potency. When rubbed, this particular lettuce produced a milky sap which resembled semen. And here are some depictions of Min. There's a statue and some reliefs. And then the one on the right, he has some plants next to him. I think those are the prickly lettuce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
it grows.
plausible.
It grows tall. It grows on a stalk. I've seen some pictures of it, so I think that's what that is. And here we have Priapus. Like Min, Priapus is distinguished by his permanent, exaggerated erection. In the Priapeia, the book of Priapus, he states that he should not be asked to cover up his genitals, since we do not ask the other gods to conceal their emblems. Zeus does not conceal his thunderbolt, nor Poseidon his trident. Without his mighty phallus, he is powerless. He is a rustic fertility god and protector of livestock and agriculture. His statue was placed in gardens to protect them, a custom which is still practiced in some rural areas. I've seen some gardens in Italy that have statues of Priapus. And here's a fresco on the left. That one's from Pompeii. And that is Priapus with the attributes of Mercury or Hermes. He has the staff of Hermes, and he also has the winged sandals, which you can only kind of see part of in this picture. And then,
It's
oh,
kind
go
of
ahead.
interesting. Well, I'm suddenly looking at this, and I'm remembering back 20 odd years ago when I worked as a test engineer in a high-tech place. One of the weirdest guys in the group was a fellow who had once been the system administrator at the Antarctic station. And his email address was testicles@mightypenis.com.
Okay. He was really trying to make a statement with that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
This is the same guy, and this is the same guy that spent over $200 in 2000 to get himself this perfect pink dress to wear.
Okay.
I think I still have a picture of him somewhere. I wonder more about him than I ever did before.
Well, he sounds like a very curious fellow, to say the least, but that's okay.
He was interesting, yeah. Well, this is the guy that when we were having a party to celebrate the fact that the company was collapsing and we were closing up,
Prickly
and
lettuce.
he brought,
Oh, prickly lettuce. There you go.
oh, there you go. And he brought in a barbecue truck with an entire roasted pig on it. And that was his contribution to the party. So
Okay.
yeah, he was special.
All right. So here, there's some statues of Priapus. I imagine.
Suddenly I'm thinking of the term, don't get your dick in a sling.
Well, if you have one like that, you might have to.
But don't get your tits in a sling is a,
Right.
Well, tits in a ringer is what I've always heard. I wouldn't want that in a ringer either.
You're older
But,
than me.
you
So this fresco on the right
Yes.
is Priapus, and he has scales in his hand, and his penis is
Hmm.
resting on one of them, as you can see. And
That's his idea of justice.
well,
It's an aspect of Hermes.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And it's funny that you mentioned the bag of coins, because on the other side of the fresco, the part that's damaged, there is a bag of coins on the other end of the scale. So, and below him is a bowl of fruit, which is kind of obscured, but that's part of his agricultural aspect.
Okay.
And now we're on Hermes.
Yay!
Hermes is known as the messenger god, ruling over communication, but he also has many other jobs. He is the psychopomp who guides the souls of the dead to Hermes. He is also a trickster deity known for his cleverness and charm. One of his most important roles is the protector of roads and travel. Stone cairns were set up along borders, boundaries, and crossroads. Eventually these evolved into the Herm, or Herma, which is a stone pillar carved with his face and phallus. Travelers touched the phallus as they passed to ensure a safe journey. And here are some examples.
I used to make some apartment versions of those you could hang on your wall right by your front door so that you could touch if you're Hellenic, and you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They didn't sell, so I stopped making them.
I have
Nobody
small,
wanted them?
I would. I have a small replica of one of those statues. Actually, I have two of them. You're actually going to see a picture of them momentarily. Pan, the wild god who rules over forests, pastures, groves, and glens. He was always worshipped in natural settings, and most of his followers were shepherds. He is known for his frivolity and insatiable libido, and can be seen prancing around with an erection as he plays his panpipes. The Greek philosopher Diogenes made a quip in which he credited Hermes with the invention of masturbation. Hermes then taught the art of self-pleasure to the lovelorn Pan, who then taught it to the local shepherds. Therefore, masturbation is a gift from the gods to mankind. And here is a picture from my altar. I have quite a Pan set up. This is my little Seder garden. In the middle, there are actually three statues of Pan. There's the white alabaster one with him playing the panpipes, and then there's the wooden one next to him, and in between them is a smaller one which is made out of bronze. And then they're surrounded by with masturbating satyrs, obviously, and little impish creatures down below. And on either side of them are the Herm statues that I showed you earlier. So there's the replicas that I have. They're there in my little Seder garden. And finally, we have Freyr, the Norse god of peace, prosperity, sunshine, good weather, fertility, and the harvest. In 1904, a bronze statuette from the Viking Age was discovered on a farm in Sweden. Freyr is depicted wearing a pointed hat and stroking his beard, seated with his legs crossed with a protruding erect phallus. In the 11th century, Adam of Bremen described Freyr as being worshipped in the form of an enormous phallus at the temple of Uppsala in Sweden. In his treatise, he refers to Freyr as he who bestows peace and pleasure on mortals. And I also have a little Freyr set up on my altar too. There's all my little Freyrs. And you can see I have several of the statuette, the Swedish one with the pointed hat. I have a few of them.
It's a classic Viking hat.
Yeah, yep. And other various forms of him. So that's
Okay.
so that's Freyr. And that is the end of my presentation.
Ta-da!
Awesome.
Time for
Very good.
questions.
Time for random
Oh,
chaos.
so many
Does
questions.
anyone have any questions, comments?
Well, actually, I have something to say and a question that'll probably tangle your brain in knots.
Then we can go to
First of
Khalid.
all, what I have to say is that was one of the most astounding presentations on the male fertility concept. You agree, Star Wolf?
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, there's so much
writing a
focus
book-
on female fertility, and
Yes, and
we
I'm really
seldom
glad to
see
see
this much
that
on
much
female.
effort put into recognizing that the male energy is equally important, has just as much cultural background, and just as much relevance today.
Tell that
So
to
now
the
we-
Dianic.
The Dianics are looking
Otherwise, the question is maybe more than one question, but I look at it, okay, situation is an interesting one. Jen is asexual. She figured that out a while ago, and it doesn't bother me much because at this point, if we're strictly speaking physically, I am functionally asexual because I'm almost 72 years old, recovering from kidney disease, and ain't much left to work with. On the other hand, I've also been aware, and I've raised this point in other discussions, that there is also the spiritual and emotional and intellectual sides of it. And I have always been aware that although on a physical scale, I'm about as heterosexual as you can get, emotionally, I have a stronger female component than most men do. And it that informs my view of the world. And since I really can't go around making booty calls trying to find a hookup, what do I do with what I can do, which is appreciate this, because I really relate to the concept of being male. One of my favorite magazine covers in all times was the Green Egg
Oh, yeah.
fatherhood issue. You remember that one, Chipicon?
Yeah.
Yes.
I adored that image because I really felt like at some level, nobody cuts fathers a break. And to that degree, you're assumed to be male. You've got it all. Who cares about you? But no, if we're ever going to have balance and peace in the world, we have to acknowledge the green man and the green woman as equally important. So I don't know if you have any advice or random thoughts or how that fits in, because obviously you've got a pretty specific specialty on male sexuality. And yet it's informed by a great deal of a broader understanding of it. And like, as I say, I am just astonished at what you accomplished here tonight. I mean, from a scholarly perspective, that was just like, when are you going to publish? So,
He's working on it.
what do you? I know. What do you think?
What I think, well, I have a couple thoughts. First of all, thank you for your compliments on my scholarly work. I put this presentation together in a week from the day I confirmed with Chipicon up until now. So
Not bad.
so yeah, I put it all together, and a lot of it was stuff that I was writing about anyway. So I just kind of pulled from my notes and edited it and stuff. So I just picked topics that I thought would be good, stuff that I thought was important, and stuff that I thought was fun. And as far as what you said about the male and female aspects and whatnot, one thing that inspired me to write about some of these topics was a lot of the literature about sex magic is very heteronormative. It focuses on men and women, male and female, and there are some gay sex magic books too. There's actually one that's being published this year, but there isn't anything really, and there's I shouldn't say anything. There's very little that's devoted to sex magic as a solo practice, which is what I wanted to focus on.
Well, yeah, because I can see that as being very important to females as well, and the idea of we tend to think of sex as male, female, and the idea that there may be more to it than that. And that's what I found really interesting was the fact that you explored the topic in enough depth to make it a meaningful subject on its own. So I'm very much looking forward to see what you have to say about that in the future.
Well, I wanted to add to that. So a lot of the material is focusing on male and female energies and the sort of binary concept, and a lot of the literature, like the Rosicrucian literature from the 19th century that talks about sex magic, a lot of it focuses on that, like this polarity aspect. But all of us are male and female energies. We are all yin and yang. We all have we all have that within us, and and the Shiva and Shakti that I mentioned earlier, we all have that within us, and so there's no reason why you need another person or even a person of the opposite sex to perform sex magic when you have all the capabilities within yourself.
Right, and especially if you realize that at a certain level you're kind of out of balance in the sense that if you measure it by one metric, you're like 100% Kinsey heterosexual. But then when you measure it by another metric, you're probably at least 25% female emotionally. And until we really learn to understand that we are not, well, I'll just blow off the concept that, as my Zen practice teaches, all dualities are false. The idea that you do have to recognize that we are not monolithic.
Mhm. Now, if there's nothing else on that question, I know Khalil had his hand raised earlier.
Oh,
Yep.
did he?
Yes.
Okay,
Is that
far away.
Bess?
No?
I
Okay.
didn't. I did the applause.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
Well, thank you.
Somebody asked about, have you worked with Bess?
Yeah, I saw that comment.
Bess. Who is Bess?
I believe he's another another phallic god. Bess is, I mean, the internet is your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bess is
I'm
an
gonna have to
Egyptian.
look up Bess because I've never seen that name before.
He's a dwarf god, Egyptian, large head, protruding tongues, bow legs,
Oh,
bushy tail, crown of feathers, and he was associated with childbirth. He was brought in for that.
interesting.
There you go. There's
Oh.
Bess.
Huh. I've never seen him before. I'm gonna have to research him now.
I've never heard of
Good.
this one either.
Yeah, there are other Egyptian phallic gods too. Osiris is associated with the phallus, and then
Definitely.
Atum was the creator god who created all existence by masturbating into his mouth and spitting out his ejaculate. That was how he created all of existence. So yeah, there are several phallic myths and gods in the Egyptian pantheon.
I've always enjoyed the herms as just as a good luck thing that you're headed. If you're going to get on the roadway, you better invoke the goodwill of the travel god. And
Mhm.
stroking his penis always struck me as a wonderful way of getting on some guy's goodwill.
Yeah. I
uh,
also just poked another reference that said that Bess is the counterpart of the feminine Besset, who has
Oh,
similar
okay.
function.
Okay.
Protector of households and in particular of mothers. Also believed to be the deity of music, merriment, and childbirth.
yeah.
And I have to say, the
childbirth.
only place I've ever seen the name referenced before, believe it or not, is in Heavy Metal magazine in one of their long-standing stories, where some of the Egyptian gods had gotten a little too addicted to playing certain
Callie.
board games, and Bess was sent off to dispose of them, and he threw them in an oven and breathed fire on them. Now, this was probably poetic license on the part of the French authors, but it was still an image.
I'm picturing him leaning over and lighting a fart, but
God help anybody nearby.
well, people can do that. I was thinking, but one of the things that I am aware of about the herms is that the ones that survive mostly have the penis kind of carved in out of the as one with the column. They're part of it. They're just raised, not separate and sticking out. And at least in the classic period of Athens, they were basically, you'd have like a three-dimensional head, and then you'd have a three-dimensional penis sticking out. And just before one major, they were going, Athens had arranged this huge invasion of Syracuse. And before the young soldiers got on the ships, they had a drunken night on the town, and Alcibiades and his friends walked around Athens whacking off in the bad way, not breaking off the penises on all the herms, which was considered such a horrible act of impiety
Mhm.
that he was they canceled the invasion. They banished him, and he was not allowed back in for 10 years until he grew
So he
up.
was officially ostracized then.
Yes,
10
he
years
was
was
officially
standard.
ostracized. But I like the idea of ostracization. Okay, fine. You have to leave for 10 years, and maybe you'll have grown some brains in between.
Yeah.
But on the other
Right.
hand, just the idea of a bunch of drunken young men going off and not, with the big stick, like mailbox baseball, only
Yeah.
with a sacred object. It's like, oh, gosh, shouldn't it have been so deeply ingrained in them that you don't do
I was
that?
going to say, I would say to Winiska, how would you like that if I did that to you?
But
Yeah, right.
do you know that story, Anthony?
No, I've never heard that story before.
Oh my God, you got to look it up. Alcibiades. So,
Okay.
Oh, God.
Take notes or look at the video when it's been posted.
yeah.
Well,
So,
there is that too.
okay, I'm going to remind everyone that's here that this should be up on YouTube on our channel in a day or two. So,
Right. And Chipicon did ask if I
I
had
will be-
remembered to hit
I hope
cloud
you-
for the recording, and I don't know
well,
that
I
I
hope
did.
so.
Otherwise,
Let's
I'm
hope
going to
that it's
have
the
it.
You might need to email it to somebody or something, and
Right. And I'm going to check that rather quickly to make sure it's available to Lois to put up. So,
But Anthony, I would love to have you come back just in the audience to ask questions and interact with people.
be
And
part of
other,
a
Yeah.
panel sometime. Yeah,
oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll definitely be back.
you would
Yeah,
enjoy some of
because-
the topics we do here.
Well,
Yeah, we
yeah,
actually-
you would actually. You'd
I
have a
actually
grand old
went
time.
on the YouTube channel and watched several of the videos just
Oh,
to
good.
get familiar
Uh-huh,
with
good.
it. So,
find out what you'd gotten into.
yeah,
All
that's right. That's right.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
Well, and it's what is it, February 9th, I think I'm up for as the host for
Yes,
I
we're
forget.
talking about death. So we talk
and
about sex,
preparing for.
death. We talk about all kinds of things that people don't usually get a chance to talk about. Let's see, the magic life hacks was last
Yep.
week or 2 weeks
Yep.
ago. Where's the one that says
February 2nd is
we got Lon Milo Duquette, February 2nd.
Oh,
next-
okay.
Next week we have Star Wolf talking about healing, what he carries around for his healing kits. His
Yep.
carrying around kits are popular.
everyday carry.
Yeah, and he carries. He's got more stuff on him than a special forces operative.
Well,
And-
that's what he is. He's a
Yeah,
magical
I guess.
special forces.
Well, I guess he's spec ops with a magical kit instead of the regular one. But yeah, there's just a ton of good stuff. And we all come into it with a presentation from our own perspective, and then other people throw stuff at us.
And of
And the
course,
focus
we
of
should
my-
have Anthony at the next Changing Times, Changing Worlds.
Oh, he's got to be at he has to be on panels at the
And
next
we would
conference.
like some feedback. I'm going to turn this off, and people can keep talking if they want to, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't
I've
need
got a-
we don't need our social chatter on YouTube.
No, we don't.
So
Mhm. Nope.